Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us. My name is Joanna Nelson, and I'm with the New Mexico Economic Development Department. And you have tuned in today for our Economic Development Department webinar series where we address COVID-19 response and relief. And we are really lucky and fortunate today to be joined by a really great partner of ours, the Federal Home Loan Bank out of Dallas. And they are going to be speaking about their Small Business Boost program, as well giving us an overview of their organization. So really great opportunity to learn from them and learn about their services and the work that they are already doing in New Mexico. Before we get started, I did want to go over a few things. This webinar is being recorded, so more than likely we will be able to put up a recording on our YouTube channel. That is where we put all recorded sessions, and you can search previous sessions as well as our most recent ones. We will be sending out a version of the presentation to all registrants. And I did want to say that we have a questions box. You should be able to see that in the right hand of your screen. So as we go along, feel free to use that and type in any questions that come up. And we will get to those questions at the end of the presentation. So I did want to give a little bit of background about EDD's response to COVID-19. We've been really hitting these resources hard because we really want to make sure that there is awareness about these resources in the state. So maybe it's repetitive to you and you already know about this. Apologies about that, but as mentioned, we really just want to make sure that there is enough awareness out in the field about these. So I'll go over them pretty quickly, but our department, we do have a COVID-19 business loan guarantee program. This means that it is not a loan program per se. We are not lending money, but we are guaranteeing commercial loans. If there is a business that has been negatively impacted by COVID-19, they can approach a participating bank. That being said, we will work with any lender. It's not just banks, but credit unions, CDFIs. They can approach a participating lender, and we will guarantee up to 80% of the principal or up to $50,000. That means that a business can take out a loan of about $62,500, and we can guarantee our maximum 80% or $50,000. This has been pretty successful. We've already done about $1.8 million in guarantees, and as we're seeing folks kind of already using PPP funding and some of the other funding opportunities at the get-go of the COVID situation, we're seeing more and more businesses using this program. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us and let us know how we can help. We also have our Local Economic Development Act, otherwise known as LEDA, our 0% interest loan program. This program, because it is a part of the New Mexico State Constitution, we are limited, to qualified entities, and that means that you still do have to be a manufacturer or generating at least 50% of your revenue from out of state. So if you are a qualified entity, this can apply to you. And as well, our expenditures, when you do get the 0% interest loans, they are still limited because we are bound by the Constitution, but still limited to land, building, and infrastructure, as well as lease abatement or mortgage assistance. So if this applies to you, please reach out to us and let's get started on a discussion about that. We also have our Buy for Tomorrow Today website. This has been really successful in connecting customers to businesses whose revenues have experienced decreases because they haven't been able to open, or maybe they're only able to open at a small percentage. This website allows businesses to put your website or list your business on this website, and then customers can find you and purchase a gift card. So hopefully this makes makes up a small difference and get some cash flow and revenue into businesses. So if you're a customer, please go to this website and look for opportunities to support your businesses. And if you're a business, you can sign up on that. Also, in response, we have been conducting webinars. Hopefully this isn't your first webinar that you're tuning in. This is a way that we're able to open up discussion and create awareness around resources for businesses and communities that are negatively impacted by COVID-19. So our next webinar that we have will be next week, July 2nd at 11 a.m. And I'm really excited about this one. But we will have the Economic Innovation Group, otherwise known as EIG. They're a national think tank, and we're one of the actual original authors in creating the Opportunity Zone program, which is the federal program through the Treasury Department. And they're going to be talking about recent Opportunity Zone updates in relation to COVID-19 and how that looks and some of the trends that they're seeing across the country. So you can register at that link. And I should mention too, if you're not able to join any of the webinars, for example, you're going to be doing something July 2nd, go ahead and sign up and you'll get the recorded version as well as the PDF. So here's some additional state programs that are in action. The State Investment Council created their New Mexico Recovery Fund of $100 million. This loan program is targeted toward some of the smaller, mid-sized businesses that have over 40 employees, and this program is being managed from out of the Sun Mountain Capital Group. So if this sounds like a fit for you, reach out to them. Also, the Small Business Investment Council has worked with its partners that I have listed on the bullet, the Loan Fund, Dream Spring, Lift Fund, HomeWise. These are CDFIs that are alternative lenders that can provide loans, and they have been fantastic partners throughout all of this. The SBIC invested $25 million into these organizations to provide very low interest rates to businesses, and I've even seen some of the interest rates lower than 3.75. So please reach out to these organizations. They are fantastic. They're working overtime and they just provide excellent customer service. So reach out to them. They definitely want to help. Also, NMFA, New Mexico Finance Authority, they have their Essential Services Working Capital Program. These are emergency loans at 1% interest rates to healthcare and critical service providers. And this is a fantastic opportunity, so reach out to NMFA. I should mention, while we're on the subject of NMFA, with the special session ending, Senate Bill 3 passed and is awaiting signature from the governor, and pending her signature and approval, that would create a small business loan fund of $500 million, $100 million which would be going to communities, $400 million which would be going to small businesses, and this fund would be providing small businesses with loans up to $75,000, and those loans will be able to be accessed through NMFA as well. Again, NMFA stands for New Mexico Finance Authority, and they are a fantastic organization and really great partner to the state. So please contact us if you have questions about that. One more other opportunity I want to make sure that folks are aware of is the Child Care Stabilization and Recovery Grant. This is a grant that is coming through the Early Childhood Department, otherwise known by their acronym as ECECD. And this will be a child care grant that is actually coming online very soon. I think July 1st is when they are going to unroll that, and it will be an online application and grants up to $34,500 and as low as $2,000. So if you are a child care facility and are licensed by CYFD, this is a great opportunity and way to get some support. These are some links that I want to make sure that everybody has. You can go to our website, and I did write out the long, unattractive link, but these will be live when we send this presentation out. You can go to our website that we do a pretty good job at keeping folks updated. When you go to our gonm.biz page, you can go to the COVID-19 response and you can get all the information there. One of the things I'm really proud of to see coming out of the department is this weekly resource wrap up. And every Friday we put out a conglomerate of grant resources, loan resources, news articles, webinars, everything and anything that passes our way related to COVID relief and recovery. We put that in a newsletter and we get those out every Friday. So if you're not already getting those, please sign up. This is the link to sign up. We also are putting a lot of those updates on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, which you can see our links there. Also wanted to highlight recovery efforts. These are our programs that as maybe you're wanting to do a new expansion project as things are settling down, quote unquote. But we do have our collateral assistance program, and I'm just going to breeze through these, just so you have these in the back of your mind. If you have questions about any of them, as mentioned several times already, reach out to us. Let's talk about them more. Our Business Finance Finder, this is an online application. You can submit an inquiry, and that inquiry lets all of our lender partners know that what you're looking for and where you're located, and they'll reach out to you, as well as our regional finance fairs. We're still going to be having these. In fact, our next one will be in August. We'll be focusing on the south part of the state, so stay tuned for that if you're located in the southern region. LEDA, JTIP are available. We also have our Office of Science and Technology, Office of International Trade, Outdoor Division, Film, our Rural Efficient Business Program. We will be engaging in a statewide comprehensive economic development strategy plan. We will be looking at hiring a disaster recovery coordinator, and as mentioned here, Senate Bill 3, the loan program that hopefully will get signed into law. So just want to put those out there and make sure everybody's aware of those. Whoops, skipped over this. NewMexicoOpportunities.com. Hopefully you know about this, but this is our Opportunity Zone hub. So if you are in an opportunity zone or you don't know if you are, you can go to this website, type in your address, and pull up a map of all the opportunity zones in New Mexico, and as well get connected to all the resource signups and information that we have there. And then here's our contact, our website. You can find your regional rep. Our department is represented by regional reps all throughout the state. You can find who that regional rep is and their contact. Here's that link to our YouTube channel to access all previous webinars, our Opportunity Zone website. And here's Mark Roper's contact. He's the division director. He's the point person for LEDA, as well as the regional reps. And then I've listed my contact as well. I manage the guarantee program. So reach out if you have any questions. All right. Well, I want to go ahead and introduce Melanie Dill, and she is the Community and Economic Development Product Manager for the Federal Home Loan Bank out of Dallas. And we're really appreciative to have her on the call. And Melanie, let me know if you can go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Thank you, Joanna. Let me try to share my screen here.
And I think I'm going to have to jump off just for a little bit, but I'll make sure you get on. Oh, and I do want to mention, here's our census slide. Please fill out your census.
Let's see. Joanna, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So before jumping into the Small Business Boost program, I just wanted to share a little bit more about myself. I've been in banking since 2011. My background has been in retail banking and collateralized lending to banks. In my current role at the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas, I'm involved with managing various community investment programs that the bank offers. Today, my focus is going to be on the Small Business Boost program. But before I continue, I'd like to know a little bit more about the audience today. So Joanna is going to pose a poll question. Please take a look at your screen. Let's see. So if you could select which of these options best describe you. I'd like to see what our concentration is out in the audience today. Okay, as responses come in, it looks like the majority of the people on the call today are owners or an employee of a small business. Have a couple nonprofit volunteers on the call, a couple of lenders. Okay, this is great. So it looks like a majority of you are small business owners. So I think you'll find this presentation very helpful, especially if you're in the market for additional resources to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic that we're all struggling through right now. To give you a little bit of an overview of what I plan to talk about today, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Federal Home Loan Bank system because we are a very unique institution. I think it would be helpful to share some information with you about the way that we're structured so you can understand how to get access to our programs. When it comes to Small Business Boost, you may hear me refer to this program as SBB throughout my presentation. I just want to throw that out there. I can get a little crazy with the it seems like every organization has all these acronyms that we deal with, but if you hear me say SBB, just know that's in reference to Small Business Boost. I'm going to give you an overview of this program, what it takes to qualify, and what some of our eligibility criteria are for the program. I'm going to share with you a local success story out of Las Vegas, New Mexico, of an organization that utilized the Small Business Boost program to expand their small business. We'll take a look at how it works and what the process looks like from applying to actually getting the funds. And at the very end, I'll take your questions. So there are actually 11 federal home loan banks throughout the nation. Each federal home loan bank is registered with the SEC, and they are privately managed institutions made up of a cooperative of financial institutions. So financial institutions throughout the Dallas district, which you can see highlighted in blue on your screen, can apply for membership with the Federal Home Loan Bank. And in return, we can provide loans to these institutions that can then support community lending throughout the states of New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. We are actually based in Irving, Texas, just outside of Dallas, and that's usually where I would be reporting, but today I'm actually delivering this message to you from home, and I'm sure many of you are sitting at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But those 5 states include the Dallas district. Each federal home loan bank has a separate board of directors. We, however, have one single regulator, and that is the Federal Housing Finance Agency. That's the same institution that regulates Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Of the 11 federal home loan banks in the system, we have approximately 7,000 members. 5,200 of those are banks and thrifts. The remaining membership would include credit unions and insurance companies. So as a government-sponsored enterprise, the federal home loan banks have a really good access to capital markets, which provides competitively priced funding to our members. So when these institutions need to borrow money, we are one of the few resources available out there to banks where they can get access to low-cost funds to promote more lending in their areas. We also significantly contribute to affordable housing, community, and economic development initiatives across the nation. Each Federal Home Loan Bank sets aside 10% of our net profits to go towards affordable housing projects. And in addition to that, there are a variety of community investment programs that we each offer to support the unique needs of our districts. So the next question I have for you is going to be, is coming up on your screen now. Have you or someone you know received assistance from the Federal Home Loan Bank through one of our member institutions? Okay, quite a few no's, but there are a handful of yeses, so that's encouraging. We are a silent partner in many communities across New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. There are various projects we've been involved with over the past 20 years that you may see in your community, but not necessarily know that we've been involved. But one of the newest programs that the Federal Home Loan Bank has introduced is Small Business Boost. So Small Business Boost was developed as a way to help our member financial institutions invest in more small business growth and development. We will provide up to $100,000 in financing to fill the gap between what the member can approve and the loan request that's made by an eligible small business. Our funding serves as an unsecured loan that is made in conjunction with a separate loan by the member financial institution to reach the full financing needs that the small business is asking for. One last poll question for you. So the Federal Reserve banks publish a survey each year, and in their 2020 Small Business Credit Survey, they asked employer firms if they applied for financing, did they get the full amount of financing that they had requested? And I'm interested to see how you think businesses fared in the last year when it comes to getting financing. Do you think they received the full amount of financing that they applied for? And if so, what were the survey results? Okay, so a majority, answers are still coming in. Okay, good. Well, the majority of you did answer correctly. The correct answer is 49%. So just under half of small businesses that applied for financing last year did not get the full amount of financing that they needed. And so having alternative sources of funding like the Small Business Boost program is really good for small business communities, especially as they try to navigate through this new COVID-19 environment. So although the initial focus of Small Business Boost was to focus on small business growth and development, we've made some adjustments to the program this year that will help with COVID-19 relief, and I'll share more of that with you in a moment. This program, the funding for it is available on a first come, first served basis. This year, the bank set aside $3 million in funding, which was introduced into two separate rounds. The first, which has already ended, we introduced $1.5 million, and any funds that were left over, plus an additional $1.5 million became available on May 1st. And those funds will be available until December 4th, until we have dispersed all of the money, which as of Friday, we still have a little over $1.3 million available for the taking. For the second round, due to COVID-19 circumstances, we expected a increased demand for funding throughout our district, and for that reason, we will have a $225,000 member limit for the remainder of the year. If we're seeing that by the end of September, that there are still a great deal of funds available, then we may lift that member cap. But as it stands today, there will be a cap of $225,000 per institution for this program. So small business boost funds can be used for a variety of different small business activities. If you are looking to purchase new commercial real estate and will be occupying that space, then you could use small business boost to supplement your financing for that property. You can also use small business boost for machinery and equipment purchases, leasehold improvements, or to cover closing costs. This is not a complete list. We have helped small businesses finance other activities not listed here. But beginning May 1st, we changed the program to also include some costs related to COVID-19 as being an acceptable use of funds. So those types of costs could include payroll expenses, accounts payables, fixed debt payments, or other COVID-19 related expenses that you are not able to pay due to consequences of the pandemic. One of the greatest features of Small Business Boost is that there are no payments due on our funding for the first year. So in year one, the small business does not pay anything. In the second year, principal amortization begins, and our members can collect up to a 3% interest on those funds. The small business would pay principal and up to 3% interest on a monthly basis to their bank. At the end of the year, that bank would then forward whatever's been collected to the Federal Home Loan Bank, and they would just forward on the principal and keep their 3% interest like a type of servicing fee. In years 3 forward, the Federal Home Loan Bank will begin charging their own 3% interest. So in year 3, the small business will pay principal plus up to 6% interest, which they'll pay on a monthly basis to the member. And then at the end of the year, the member will keep their 3% interest and forward principal plus our 3% interest onto the bank. This first year of no payments is a really great way to help small businesses that are just getting started up or coming out of a crisis like we are today. It gives them an opportunity to rebuild cash flow and help support them in the long term when it comes to small business development. I will point out that there are 2 loans involved with the Small Business Boost transaction. So I said earlier we would provide up to $100,000 in funding through Small Business Boost, and so that is made in conjunction with a primary member loan. So the member's primary loan would not be subject to these repayment terms. The member's loan interest rate may exceed 6%. It's really up to that financial institution and how they want to structure the loan. These terms only apply to the Small Business Boost portion of the loan. So depending on the type of activity that we're supporting through the program, it will determine what our maximum lending terms are. For real estate transactions, our maximum term would be 10 years with up to a 15-year amortization. And for non-real estate transactions, we can do a 7-year loan with up to a 10-year amortization. However, the term of the Small Business Boost loan could not exceed the term of the member's primary loan. So if the member were to do a fully amortizing loan for 5 years, the Small Business Boost loan would need to mirror those same terms. We have an amortization schedule generator available on our website, which is fhlb.com/SBB. Here you can plug in different loan scenarios to get an idea as to what the payment stream would be over the lifetime of the loan. We do not charge any prepayment penalties. However, if a prepayment is being made towards the member's primary loan, then the same principal reduction would need to be applied on a pro rata basis towards the SBB loan. Any small business paying off the member's loan in its entirety or refinancing with another institution would need to pay off the SBB loan in full. That was a quick overview of the Small Business Boost program. I'm now going to take us through some of the eligibility guidelines. So each of these guidelines would need to be met in order to qualify for the Small Business Boost program. So in order to qualify, the first thing is that you must be a small business as defined by the SBA. You can find SBA size standards out on the SBA.gov website. In addition, the member institution needs to be able to demonstrate that there is a funding gap that exists. The small business has come to them requesting financing, and for whatever reason, be it lack of equity or shortfall in collateral, the member needs other funding sources in order to support this small business, and that would be demonstrated in the application. If the deal involves real estate, a majority of the real estate must be occupied by the small business. So Small Business Boost could not be used for commercial investment activity. If there are multiple members involved with the financing of this project, then the member institution applying for Small Business Boost would need to be able to provide at least 40% of the total project costs. Earlier I said the maximum amount of our assistance would be $100,000. If the loan amount is less than $200,000, then the maximum amount of our assistance becomes 50% of the member's loan. So let's say you're a business that needs $100,000. The member could finance $67,000, and the Federal Home Loan Bank could then use a Small Business Boost loan to fill the gap for the remaining $33,000, $33,000 being half of 67. If there is a public loan guarantee on the member's loan, such as the SBA 7A program, then the maximum amount of our assistance through SBB would be 50% of the member's remaining exposure. We'd like to see the result of this funding and what impact it's having on the local economy. And one quantitative measure that you see commonly for economics is jobs and job creation. So for every $50,000 in SBB funding, we'd like to see at least one job be created or retained. However, the lender may be able to demonstrate other ways that the funding is having an economic impact within the SBB application. This gives you a quick list of some other types of economic impact that would be acceptable in lieu of meeting that jobs requirement for one job for every $50,000 in funding. I'll read through a couple of these. If it's a minority, woman, or veteran-owned business, the job requirement could be waived. If the lender could demonstrate that although businesses may not be created within the organization, there will be other jobs created throughout the community and revenue generated, such as through a construction project, there would be construction materials purchased and construction jobs generated within the community. Another down at the very bottom is if the business will close if financing is not obtained. That could be another way to show what economic impact the funds could have on the community. For the remainder of the year, the member will not be required to advance additional loan funds to the small business in transactions involving a refinance. So we previously had a requirement that members could not refinance a small business's existing debt with their institution without lending additional funds to them to be eligible for Small Business Boost. So now what we're saying is members can refinance the small business's existing debt within their institution and at the same time apply for up to $100,000 in Small Business Boost funds to be used towards working capital needs that may arise due to COVID-19. So if our members have a small business customer that's struggling to make their existing loan payments, they could consolidate that debt and use Small Business Boost to help with their cash flow over the coming months. And then the last thing here is that we are limiting small businesses to just one Small Business Boost loan, and that is a lifetime limitation. We go based off of EIN number. So we know that there are some small business owners out there with multiple small businesses, and as long as the small business has a different EIN number, then the same small business owner could potentially apply for Small Business Boost more than once. The intent behind this program when we created it back in 2019 was to create this growing pool of funds. So we had allocated $3 million for Small Business Boost last year. We've allocated $3 million for Small Business Boost this year. And our idea as these small businesses repay these loans over time, our idea is to reinvest that fund into those funds into a pool that can be used by members throughout our 5-state district. So for that reason, it's another reason why we've limited small businesses to just one SBB loan. And throughout the remainder of the year, and definitely until September 30th, there will be a $225,000 cap for member institutions. I talked a little bit about Small Business Boost being used as a growing pool to help more of our members support their communities. Some benefits to the small business is that this provides a solution to meet their financial needs at the moment. With no repayments in year one, that gives you an opportunity to increase initial cash flow. We do not charge an application or prepayment penalty. You can use Small Business Boost with other financing sources, such as some of those great programs that Joanna mentioned earlier in today's presentation, as well as SBA programs like the 7A and 504 loan programs. This source of funding will hopefully help you create and retain jobs. And then from the member's perspective, it serves as a gap financing tool that they can use to help fulfill more small business loan requests. Our program integrates with their existing commercial underwriting. We don't have any of our own set of commercial underwriting standards for these Small Business Boost loans. We underwrite the loans based off of the member's existing loan policy. This also creates a great opportunity to build new business relationships, as well as to cross-sell other products. Since you're able to charge interest starting in year 2 up to 3%, it can provide an additional fee income for the member. It also reduces their credit exposure and qualifies for Community Reinvestment Act credit. So the Small Business Boost portion of the loan would qualify for service credit under CRA, and the member's primary loan would qualify for lending credit, and that was per the OCC and FDIC, but we of course suggest that you consult your regulator about CRA eligibility when it comes to Small Business Boost. So next, I want to share a great local success story out of Las Vegas, New Mexico. I'm there in the purple. If you're wondering what I look like, it's a little blurry of a picture, but we've got two great entrepreneurs that decided to open their second Anytime Fitness location in Las Vegas, New Mexico. They use the Small Business Boost funds to help purchase the property and renovate the inside for this new gym facility. This photo was taken back in January of this year. So a couple of comments. I'll read one down below from Mike Melton, who is the Executive Vice President of Community First Bank Las Vegas. And he says, I'm so glad the Small Business Boost program was available to help us close the gap on this loan. Now we have a new business in town that might not have had without the Small Business Boost program. So although we cover such a large area, I wanted to bring you a local story just to show that Small Business Boost is helping businesses in your community locally. So how does this work? If you're a small business owner listening in, how do you get access to this program? Well, the first step that I'm going to recommend to you is that you go to our website, which is FHLB.com. Let's see if I can take you there now, actually. When you get to the FHLB.com website, you can click on membership, and then down below, find a member, which will bring you to this page. If you were to just do a search for member institutions in the state of New Mexico, you would select New Mexico here. And then a list of all of the different financial institutions that are members of the Federal Home Loan Bank will come up. I mentioned earlier the number of financial institutions across the nation that are members of the Federal Home Loan Bank. For Dallas, we actually have a little over 800 members. And in order to access any of our programs, you would have to work through one of these financial institutions. There we go. Once you've partnered up with one of these financial institutions, in order for them to submit an application on your behalf, they would need to enroll in the program. That enrollment process is now handled through DocuSign, so it's very simple. It's just a couple of pages that the member would need to fill out to get enrolled. And once they're enrolled, they would never need to enroll again. It's a one-time process that would need to happen. After that, they can begin submitting applications for small businesses. The member would need to apply during an open funding round, which I mentioned closes in December or until we run out of funds. Today, we've got a little over $1.3 million in funds still available. That application process is also through DocuSign. So the member can complete the application in DocuSign, and there is one page that the small business owner needs to complete. That can be sent to them via DocuSign as well. Once we've received back the application, it takes up to 10 business days for us to review it and get back to the member. Once the application has been approved, then the member gets a green light to close. And at closing, we just have our Small Business Boost loan agreement that would need to be completed by the member and small business, and then whatever other loan documentation the member would require for their loan. But the member will essentially fund a loan to the small business first, and then the Federal Home Loan Bank would reimburse the member by depositing the Small Business Boost funds into their DDA with us. After that loan closes, then we begin this cycle of repayment and monitoring. So on a monthly basis, the small business would make their payments to the member, and then annually, the funds that are due to us would be forwarded to the Federal Home Loan Bank through their DDA account. And sometime in the second year, we will reach out to the member just to check in to see how that loan is performing and to see what jobs actually ended up being created as a result of the funding. This also gives, the purpose of this check-in is also to see if there are any delinquencies on the loan, and those of course should be reported to us as soon as possible. I mentioned that the enrollment and application process is now available online through DocuSign. So if you go to our website from the page we were just on, you can go over to Community. Down below, you'll see an option for Small Business Boost. The short link for that would be fhlb.com/SBB. We've got a variety of information available about the program. All the fine print and other helpful resources are listed down below here on the right-hand side. This DocuSign request form is really intended for members who are in need of the enrollment package or business registration form. They can come in, fill out this Contact Us form, and we'll shoot over the documents to them as soon as possible. So that brings me to the end of my presentation today on Small Business Boost. You know, it's a lot of information. It's probably a new program that you've not heard of before. So I want to take some time and take some questions from the audience. There is a questions box off to the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar screen where you can ask a question.
Hey, Melanie, this is Joanna, and I'm able to help with the questions too.
Okay, great. Would you be able to read them off for me?
Sure. Let me get to some. And thanks so much for all that information. That was great. Okay, so some of this might be reiterating what you already covered, but just want to make sure that folks are getting the information that they need. So one is this program available for child care facilities? This was from
Yes.
Valerie.
As long as the small business qualifies as a small business per the SBA, then the organization would qualify. And we have seen some interest from child care facilities out of our Arkansas membership base. So yeah, they would qualify so long as they meet all the other criteria.
Okay, great. We had another question come in, and this is, I see, from Lupe, who's with the Lift Fund and a great partner of ours. And she said, how do you become a member? Can a CDFI become a member?
Yes, and Lift Fund is actually one of our CDFI members. So yes, Lift Fund, CDFIs can become members of the Federal Home Loan Bank, and Lift Fund is one of them.
Okay, good to know. And this is a question coming in that says, if we are a minority-owned and woman-owned business, how do we register that statewide and federally? Does that apply to you all?
So in regards to that economic impact requirement that we have for the program, we don't necessarily need you to show proof that you're a certified woman-owned or minority-owned business. And Joanna, you might be able to share information about how one would go about doing that for the state of New Mexico. Is there a process in New Mexico for certifying yourself as a woman-owned or minority-owned business?
Yes. Yeah. You can, to go through that process, we have an organization called the PTAC, which stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and they are affiliated with the Small Business Development Center. And you can go to them and they will walk you through that process of certifying your business through these different certifications. So if you have any questions about that, you can email me, and I will get you my email. It's johanna.nelson@state.nm.us, and you'll have that when I send it out. And then we've got a few more questions. Melanie, this question is again kind of getting at the idea of a member, asking for more clarification. When you say member, does this equate to a lender, or is the small business owner the member? So if you want to add a little bit of clarification about what you mean.
Yes.
Member.
So when I refer to member, I'm referring to the financial institution or the acting lender in the transaction. And so in order to become a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank, you do have to be a financial institution. I know there are all sorts of different requirements around our rules for membership, but the small business would not be the member. The small business would need to work with one of our member financial institutions in order to get access to the program.
Okay, great. And let's see. And we've got a question coming in from Brian. Hi, Brian. Is this program available to startups? If yes, what are the qualifications?
So startups are eligible for the program as well, as long as you meet all the other criteria. I would suggest you work with one of the member financial institutions of the Federal Home Loan Bank to see what qualifications they may have specifically for startups. But startups are treated no differently in the process for Small Business Boost than any other business. And the way the repayment works for Small Business Boost, it really benefits startups. So I would work with your local financial institution to see what all they'll require, but startups are definitely eligible for Small Business Boost.
Okay, great. Good to know. And I should mention, Brian is with the Small Business Development Center, one of our really important partners that can help direct businesses to resources. So hopefully you can connect with them following up. And then we did have a question, when and where will this presentation be available? And we'll be sending out a version, Jill, after the presentation to all the folks that registered. You'll get this information. Okay, I think that's it, Melanie. I think those are all the questions that have come through.
Excellent. Well,
so
thank you.
I wanted to put it back in your court. Do you have any follow-up information or points you want to leave our audience with?
Not so much. I think it really came off in the Q&A session, the importance of connecting with a member institution. That's really where it all begins. And like I said before, we've made some tweaks to the program to help provide COVID-19 relief to those businesses that are having some working capital shortages. I know that the PPP program has provided a lot of funding to small businesses right now to get them through these hard times. But if you need additional funding as it pertains to COVID-19 issues, then